Yeah, and I think my whole thing is I think Americans know down deep that this is all built on a house of cards. I think Americans know down deep that it's all bad and they don't want to look what's behind door number 2.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that most people know that. And they either delude themselves into thinking that they don't believe that, or they just, as George Carlin said, everybody has a cell phone that makes pancakes. So people get into gadgets and gizmos. And when you here's the thing. It's almost worse when you wake up and realize how stacked the deck is against you.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to imagine that you're going to do anything. Like this girl, Greta Thunberg, that refuses to fly to bring attention to climate change. It's like, good, great, whatever. But also, what is that going to do?
Yeah, nothing.
You know what I mean? Like, I understand that it's good to wake up the younger generation. They're going to start demanding things. But it's also like, I like the idealism of some of them. Some of them, it's been misdirected.
Mm-hmm.
They direct it into the social justice thing.
Right.
But let's be honest, how many of these young people are going to grow up and be in their mid-30s or their late 20s and be like, oh, I just got to make money.
Yeah.
I don't have the guys like David Hogg, they went through a tragedy and whatever. They want to be historic figures.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be there. But you know what starts to happen, man? I remember after reading that Family of Secrets book and then I connected with Ray Kump later on, and he had also read it. But I remember reading that book and putting that book down and going, yeah, you know what? Yeah, they won.
Yeah.
You know, I
Absolutely.
hate to say it, but it's like the time to challenge that ever since World War II, when Allen Dulles, and those guys created the OSS, became the CIA. They created the national security state. They created essentially a secret government that was accountable to nobody. They brought over all the Nazi scientists from Germany.
Operation Paperclip.
Operation Paperclip. We became a superpower. We did certain things to sustain that. We became this major, massive economic engine. All of that, not all of it, but a fair amount of it was done by our intelligence community doing some very nefarious things all over the world. And, this whole the idea of just that fiat currency and the idea that, the economy is based on this perpetual growth model of like having to keep getting in wars. The boom and the bust cycle. This idea that we can't not be at war. We can't not be in a conflict. It won't work. Like those realizations, Ta-Nehisi Coates, who's a writer, I said a lot of things I think are a little much, but he's a very good writer. He said once about these dollar cheeseburgers, he's like, somebody somewhere is paying for those dollar cheeseburgers. Like the fact that you can drive up to a restaurant, pay $1 and get a burger that was made for you for $1 through a window. Someone somewhere's paying for that. Like our lives are artificially subsidized by a lot of terrible things. And you start to realize that and you're like, ooh, this is no good,
Right.
But also, not to sound cliche, but it's like, what do you do?
Nothing.
There's
nothing you can do.
Really, because it's like, now you can do good things. You can do charity. You can do this. You can do that. People in developing countries, like Rogan does cool things. He's investing in like the clean water project and all this shit. And there's things you can do, but when you look at this system, this didn't happen yesterday. It didn't happen because of Trump. This is a system that's developed over a very, very long time. And in order to change that, like it's going to collapse under its own weight slowly, but I don't think it's ever going to look substantively different from the thing that we know.
We're fucked.
Or it'll just be worse. But it's not gonna it's not gonna turn around and become like
Right. It's probably a lot more boring than we want it to be.
Well, it's it's everything. Like Russ Baker said it. He's like, it's not just, it's everything. It's the military. It's every element, every part of our society looks the way it does because it developed in a certain way. And to really unravel this whole fucking, being drunk on cheap credit, putting all these wars on credit, like all of these things to unravel this massive scam.
Yeah.
It's almost like now it's like the secretary at Enron being like, we should really make good. And somebody go, you shut up, with a gun in her mouth. You shut up.
It's too late.
Too late. You ate the fucking shrimp cocktail. You got the company car. You went to the fucking hotel. You went to the sales conference. And then you saw a documentary you didn't like.
Yep.
Or you made a documentary, Chelsea. And I'm not saying totally black pill and totally don't do anything, but like get a fucking clue before you just start spouting off. Because the people that are spouting off are like, well, once we get rid of Trump, it's gonna be okay. Right. Once Lizzie Warren's in, everything will be fine. No, it's like, no, you'll go back to sleep.
Right.
You'll just go back to sleep. You'll just go, okay. Things are good now, Oh, we have the first trans Secretary of Defense.
Sweet.
Right.
You know?
Bombed Iraq.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, man. Epstein's dead. The guy who accused Kevin Spacey's dead. They all.
Oh, really?
As Jake Paul would say, it's every day, bro. It's every day, bro.
That's 210.
With that Disney Channel flow. And, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
How long have we done? We got to wrap this.
Hour 27.
Oh, that's so long.
You start speaking in a Chinese voice.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
And, some people might say that's misguided, but it gives you a moment of joy. You know what I mean?
Such dishonor.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know what you do? You make a documentary called Hey Privilege, It's Me, Chelsea.
You fix it all.
And you do what you got to do. And you move a little. But it's a great book. Ben has it downstairs. He's not read it. He begged for it. I gave it to you.
Thank you very much. I will try to read it soon.
What do you mean try? Can you read? I don't understand try to read it.
I have the audiobook version if you want it.
Have you read any of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
How great is it?
It's fucking amazing.
Dude.
It's just a constant, because it'd be very easy to listen to it and be like, oh, these guys are full of shit.
Right.
But if you pay attention, because Bush being there at the fucking JFK assassination,
Great.
and they break it down to where you're going, okay, this makes sense. It answers a lot of questions. Like you were saying earlier, you get a lot of these logical answers.
Yeah, we've interviewed Rush 3 times on Patreon too. You can find the episodes. Russ Baker.
Oh.
Rush Limbaugh. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Rush Limbaugh, El Rushbo, the Maharishi. I used to drive around Long Island just fucking coked out, listening to Rush. My Chevy Suburban, I could barely afford to put gas in because of a 44-gallon tank. And he went away for OxyContin addiction. He came back, and his first show back, greatest opening ever. He goes, "Where was I? Now where was I? Adam Rush, get him!" But that's what we want. We want
Entertainment.
spectacles. We want it.
It's a beautiful piece of entertainment.
I think it's going to be beautiful. I really do believe that there's something beautiful about the end. Doja Cat dancing around with the hat. Many of our musicians and celebrities now are clearly mentally retarded people that
that's how they're promoted.
That people have gotten behind and just pushed to the front of the line. That Billie Eilish is like, what's the young generation into? It's like they like this girl that bleeds from her eyes and dresses up, It's like, oh, good. But what would they be into? Think about it. If you need, go get a potato and put a Marlboro Light in its mouth and watch that and then press play on your phone.